The soft hum of machinery filled the research vessel's cabin as Tom Reed stared at the blinking dot on his scanner. He had been mapping asteroid clusters in this remote sector of space for the past 3 months, but this signal was different. It pulsed with an artificial rhythm that stood out against the natural background radiation of space. "Computer, analyze the signal pattern," Tom said, running his fingers through his messy brown hair. The isolation of deep space research didn't really encourage keeping up appearances. "Signal analysis complete," the ship's AI responded in its calm voice. "Pattern suggests artificial origin. Preliminary data indicates presence of a stasis pod of unknown design." Tom straightened in his chair. A stasis pod out here, thousands of light years from the nearest colonized system. That wasn't just unusual, it was impossible. The nearest alien civilization was at least 6 months of travel away. "Show me visual," he commanded. The main screen flickered to life, zooming in on a dark object floating between 2 asteroids. It was roughly the size of a small shuttle, its surface covered in strange markings that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. The computer continued its analysis. "Warning: energy signature matches partial records of Ravager technology. Safety protocols dictate immediate retreat and notification of Galactic Defense Force." Tom's heart skipped a beat. Everyone knew about the Ravagers. They were the boogeymen of the galaxy, apex predators who had supposedly hunted entire civilizations to extinction before disappearing centuries ago. But most people thought they were just stories to scare children. "How old is the pod?" Tom asked, his scientific curiosity overtaking his initial fear. "Pod appears to have been adrift for approximately 247 standard years," the computer replied. "Power systems at 3% capacity. Complete failure estimated within 6 hours." Tom drummed his fingers on the console. If there really was a Ravager in there, it would die when the pod failed. This could be the greatest scientific discovery in human history, or his last mistake. "Computer, prep the recovery drones," he said finally. "Warning: action violates Safety Protocol 7B. Recommended course of action is tow. Override safety protocols. Authorization read Alpha 9. The computer fell silent for a moment. "Override accepted. Deploying recovery drones." Tom watched as 3 small drones detached from his ship and moved toward the pod. Their spotlights illuminated its surface, revealing deep gouges in the metal. Whatever was inside hadn't gone into stasis willingly. The drones attached themselves to the pod and began guiding it toward the ship's cargo bay. Tom grabbed his handheld scanner and headed down to meet it, his boots echoing on the metal floor. His heart pounded with each step. The cargo bay's decontamination field hummed to life as the pod passed through it. Up close, it was even more intimidating. The markings on its surface seemed to shift slightly when he looked at them directly, making his eyes hurt. "Computer, run full biological scan." Scanning. Life form detected. Species unknown. Mass approximately 400 kilograms. Current status: critical. Internal injuries detected. Tom approached the pod carefully. Through its frosted window, he could make out a massive shape. The creature inside was easily twice his size, with what looked like armored plates covering its body. Its form reminded him of the ancient Earth creatures he'd studied in biology. A perfect killing machine. As he watched, the pod's surface flickered. The power was failing faster than expected. "Power failure imminent," the computer announced. "Life support critical. Subject will expire in approximately 5 minutes without intervention." Tom looked at the creature again. Everyone knew the stories about Ravagers, how they had torn through ships like paper, how they had hunted down entire species for sport. But something about this didn't add up. The pod's damage, the remote location, the ancient age. "Computer, prep Medbay 3 for emergency stasis transfer." Tom's voice was steady despite his racing thoughts. "Warning: action will place unknown hostile life form within ship systems. This violation off." "Sometimes you have to break the rules to do the right thing," Tom muttered, overriding the safety protocols again. And something tells me there's more to this story than what we've been told. As the emergency lights began flashing and the pod's power levels dropped to critical levels, Tom made a decision that would change not just his life, but the understanding of two species forever. He reached for the pod's manual release handle, ready to either make history or become it. The pod's release handle moved with a heavy clunk, sending clouds of frozen vapor into the cargo bay. Tom stepped back, his hand resting on the tranquilizer gun at his hip. He wasn't stupid, brave or foolish maybe, but not stupid. Life support failing, the computer announced. Subject's vital signs becoming unstable. The pod's top section slowly lifted with a hiss of escaping air. Tom held his breath as more vapor poured out, temporarily hiding the creature from view. When the mist finally cleared, he found himself staring at something straight out of humanity's darkest nightmares. The Ravager was massive. Its armored body stretched nearly 3 meters long, covered in overlapping plates that seemed to absorb light. 6 powerful limbs ended in claws that could easily tear through steel, and its head bore multiple sets of eyes arranged in a pattern that spoke of both predatory focus and wide-ranging vision. But what caught Tom's attention most was the deep wound in its side, glowing faintly with some kind of energy. Subject requires immediate medical attention, the computer reported. Internal bleeding detected. Unknown energy weapon damage present. The creature's eyes suddenly snapped open. They were a deep amber color, and to Tom's surprise, they held not mindless fury but clear intelligence. The Ravager tried to move but collapsed with a sound that was part growl, part click. Tom made his decision. Computer, prep the medical bay. Full emergency protocols. Warning. Attempting to save this creature may. Just do it, Tom shouted, moving closer to the pod. The Ravager's eyes tracked his movement, but it made no aggressive moves. Instead, it made another series of clicks and growls, this time in a pattern that seemed almost deliberate. Computer, analyze those sounds. Any pattern you can detect. Analysis suggests structured communication. Basic linguistic patterns detected. This is not random vocalization. Tom's excitement grew. It's trying to talk to us. He faced the creature and spoke slowly, gesturing to himself. I'm Tom. I want to help you. The Ravager's outer eyes narrowed while its central ones widened, an expression Tom couldn't read but clearly meant something. It made another series of clicks, then slowly, painfully raised one of its front limbs and pointed to its wound. Yes, I see it, Tom said, pointing to the medical bay's direction. We can fix that. Will you let me help you? The creature studied him for a long moment. Then, in a move that made Tom's jaw drop, it nodded. Not a natural movement for its body structure, but a clear, deliberate nod. It had learned this human gesture from watching him. Computer, bring the medical transport unit, and start working on a basic translation matrix for those sound patterns. As they waited for the transport unit, Tom noticed something else. The Ravager's claws, while certainly deadly, showed signs of modification. Tiny scars and badly healed marks around their bases suggested someone had altered them, made them more weapon-like than they naturally were. The transport unit arrived, a floating platform designed for moving injured crew members. The Ravager eyed it suspiciously, but allowed Tom to help guide it onto the platform. Its body was surprisingly warm to the touch, and its armored plates had a subtle texture that reminded Tom of shark skin. You're not what the stories say you are you? Tom muttered as they moved toward the medical bay. Someone changed you, made you into weapons. The creature made a low sound, almost like a purr but sadder. One of its smaller limbs reached out and gently tapped Tom's chest, right over his heart. The gesture was so careful, so precisely controlled, that it erased any remaining doubts in Tom's mind about the Ravager's intelligence. You need a name, Tom said as they entered the medical bay. The creature's size and strength reminded him of ancient Earth fossils he'd studied. How about Rex? Simple enough for me to say, impressive enough for you. The Ravager, Rex, made a clicking sound that somehow managed to convey amusement. As Tom began preparing the medical equipment, he realized he was probably the first human to ever hear a Ravager laugh. What he didn't know yet was that he was also the first being in centuries to earn a Ravager's trust, and that this moment would change the course of galactic history forever. 3 days had passed since Tom brought Rex aboard his ship. The medical bay, designed for human patients, barely contained the massive Ravager, but Rex had proven to be a surprisingly cooperative patient. The energy weapon wound was slowly healing, thanks to a combination of the ship's medical technology and Rex's own remarkable healing abilities. Tom sat cross-legged on the floor, watching Rex attempt to manipulate a holographic language interface he had created. The Ravager's claws, despite their fearsome appearance, moved with incredible precision through the floating symbols. "That's right," Tom encouraged as Rex successfully matched another set of human words to their meanings. "You're learning faster than anyone would believe possible." Rex made a series of clicks that the ship's computer was getting better at translating. "Humans, think Ravagers, only kill. We were scholars once." Tom leaned forward, fascinated. Every conversation with Rex revealed more surprises. "Scholars? Your people were peaceful." The massive creature's outer eyes dimmed slightly, a sign Tom had learned meant sadness. Rex touched the scars around his modified claws. "Long ago, before Dominion came." The Dominion. Tom had never heard of them, which was strange given his knowledge of galactic history. Rex's body tensed, armor plates shifting slightly. "They changed species, make weapons, found us, studying stars, made us perfect killers." The revelation hit Tom like a physical blow. The feared Ravagers, bogeymen of 1,000 worlds, were victims themselves. "That's why you were in that pod. You were running from them." Not just running. Rex's clicks came faster now, the computer struggling to keep up. "Stole data, proof of what they did. To us, to others." The Ravager touched his wound. "They shot. I escaped. Pod was last choice." Tom got up and walked to his computer terminal. "We need to show this proof to the Galactic Council. They need to know the truth about your people." A deep rumbling sound came from Rex. "A warning. Dominion has spies everywhere. Council too. Must be careful." "Then we'll be careful," Tom said, bringing up star charts on the main screen. "But we can't let them keep doing this. They might target other species next. They might even come for humans." Rex moved to stand beside him, careful not to damage any equipment with his large frame. The Ravager pointed to a sector of space with one careful claw. "More of my kind. Held there. Research facility. Could free them. Show truth." Tom studied the location. It was deep in uncharted space, far from any patrol routes. "It would be dangerous. We'd be on our own out there." Rex made the clicking sound that Tom now recognized as laughter. "Human worried about danger. You helped. Feared Ravager. Already brave. Or stupid." "Maybe a bit of both," Tom grinned. Then his expression grew serious. "But before we try anything like that, we need to get that tracking device out of you. The one you told me about yesterday." The Ravager's massive head nodded. "Dangerous surgery. Could kill me." "I won't let that happen," Tom said firmly. "We'll practice on the ship's medical simulator first. Get it perfect before we try anything real." Rex was quiet for a moment, all 4 eyes focused on Tom. Then the Ravager did something unexpected. He lowered his head to Tom's level, an extremely vulnerable position for his species, and made a soft clicking sound. "Trust you, friend." The word friend hung in the air between them. Just days ago, they had been representatives of species that were supposed to be mortal enemies. Now they were planning a mission that could change the galaxy's future. "Friend," Tom repeated, placing his hand on Rex's armored shoulder. "We're going to need that trust where we're going. And we're going to show everyone that they've been wrong about the Ravagers all along. As they began planning their mission, Tom realized something important. Sometimes the greatest adventures in space weren't about discovering new worlds or mapping stars. Sometimes they were about discovering that everything you thought you knew about the galaxy was wrong, and having the courage to fight for the truth. The warning alarm jolted Tom awake. Red lights flashed throughout his ship as the computer's voice filled the air. Alert. 3 vessels detected entering sensor range. Energy signatures match known Dominion patterns. Tom jumped from his bunk and ran to the bridge, his heart pounding. Rex was already there, massive form hunched over the sensor display, all 4 eyes focused on the approaching ships. They found us. Rex's clicks came rapidly, the translator struggling to keep up. Tracking device. Signal grew stronger when I healed. Tom studied the scanner. The ships were big, much bigger than his research vessel. How long until they reach us? Approximately 40 minutes at current speed, the computer responded. Rex turned to Tom, armor plates shifting nervously. Must leave me. Too dangerous. They will destroy you. Not happening, Tom said firmly, already pulling up the medical bay systems on his screen. We're doing the surgery. Now. No time, Rex argued. Surgery takes hours. They will catch us. Tom grinned. Not if we're clever about it. He pointed to a nearby asteroid field on the map. Computer, can we hide the ship's energy signature in there? Affirmative. Dense mineral content will mask most scanner readings. Then that's our operating room. Tom started plotting a course. Rex, I've practiced this operation 100 times in the simulator. We can do this. The Ravager made a sound that was half growl, half laugh. If you fail, I die. If you succeed, but too slow, we both die. Then I won't fail, and I won't be slow. Tom's voice was steady as he guided the ship into the asteroid field. Computer, activate the minimal power protocols we discussed. Everything except medical bay and life support goes dark. The ship's lights dimmed as systems shut down one by one. Tom carefully maneuvered between the massive rocks, finding a spot where several larger asteroids would help hide them. They're still coming, the computer reported. 35 minutes until they reach the asteroid field. In the medical bay, Tom worked quickly to prep his tools. The tracking device was buried deep in Rex's neural tissue, placed there by the Dominion surgeons. One wrong move could paralyze or kill his friend. Rex lay down on the reinforced medical platform, his massive form making it creak. Trust you, he clicked softly. But if something goes wrong, promise to run. Nothing's going wrong, Tom said, activating the surgical field. Just stay still and let me work. I'll talk you through everything I'm doing. The next 20 minutes were the most intense of Tom's life. His hands moved steadily as he cut through Rex's armored plates, following the path he practiced countless times. Rex remained conscious. They couldn't risk anesthesia with the complex surgery, but didn't move a millimeter. Contact, Tom whispered as his tools finally touched the tracking device. It's wrapped around your secondary neural cluster, just like the scans showed. Computer time. Dominion vessels now entering the asteroid field. Estimated 15 minutes until they reach our position. Tom took a deep breath. This was the crucial part. One wrong move could sever nerve connections that would kill his friend instantly. Rex, I'm going to count to 3, then make the final cut. Ready? The Ravager clicked once. Their signal for yes. 1, 2, 3. Tom's hands moved with surgical precision. There was a small spark as the device came free, Rex's whole body tensing, but remaining perfectly still. Got it. Tom quickly sealed the wound. Computer, destroy this thing. The device disintegrated in the disposal unit just as the ship's sensors picked up something new. Dominion vessels are showing signs of confusion, the computer reported. Their search pattern has become erratic. They appear to have lost the tracking signal. Rex's outer eyes brightened. his version of a smile. "We did it, my friend." "We're not done yet," Tom said, already moving back to the bridge. "Now we have to get out of here without them spotting us." "Ready to show me how stealthy a Ravager can be?" Rex's clicking laughter followed him. "Humans teach us many things, including how to hide in plain sight." As they prepared to play a deadly game of hide-and-seek with the Dominion ships, Tom realized that today's surgery had done more than remove a tracking device. It had proven that human ingenuity and Ravager strength, when combined with absolute trust, could accomplish the impossible. 2 days after their escape from the Dominion ships, Tom and Rex sat in the ship's data room, surrounded by holographic displays. The information they had recovered from Rex's neural storage was finally decoded, revealing secrets darker than either of them had imagined. "Look at this," Tom said, pointing to a floating diagram. "These are genetic modification charts. The Dominion didn't just change your claws, they rewrote parts of your species' DNA." Rex moved closer to the display, his armored plates reflecting the blue light. "Show me what we were before." Tom pulled up another image. It showed the original Ravager form, still large and powerful, but with more delicate limbs clearly designed for precise work rather than combat. Their natural claws were shorter, better suited for manipulating scientific instruments than tearing through hull plating. "We were builders," Rex clicked softly. "Created tools, studied stars, explored space." His outer eyes dimmed with sorrow. "Now Galaxy fears us, thinks we only destroy." Tom switched to another file, this one showing a list of species. "It's not just your people. Look at this. The Dominion has been doing this for thousands of years. They find peaceful species with useful traits, then twist those traits into weapons." The screen showed race after race that had been altered. Some were made stronger, others faster. Some were given natural armor, while others were changed to survive in deadly environments. All were turned from their natural paths into living weapons. "Here's the worst part," Tom said grimly, bringing up a new set of data. "They're not done. Look at these future targets." Rex's eyes widened as he read the list. "Humans on list." "Yeah," Tom nodded. "They've been watching Earth. They're interested in our ability to adapt quickly and our tendency to survive in situations that should kill us. They want to turn those traits into weapons too." The Ravager made a deep growling sound that the translator didn't even try to interpret. "Must stop them." "But how? They are too powerful." Tom stood up and began pacing, something he did when thinking hard. "Maybe not. Look at these files again. They're careful to keep their modified species separated. They don't want anyone comparing notes, figuring out what's been done to them. Because truth would unite victims." Rex clicked thoughtfully. "Make them strong, together." "Exactly." Tom turned to his friend with excitement in his eyes. "And we have proof now. Real, solid proof of everything they've done. If we could get this to the Galactic Council." "Remember," Rex interrupted, "Dominion has spies. In Council." "Then we don't go to the Council first," Tom said. "We go to your people, the ones still held in that research facility you mentioned. We free them, show them the truth, and then others will listen." "To many Ravagers," Rex finished, his outer eyes brightening, "especially if we come in peace." Tom nodded eagerly. "And with a human ally. It proves everything in these files, that you were peaceful once, that you can be peaceful again, that the Dominion are the real monsters." Rex moved to the star map, pointing to a location with one careful claw. "Facility here, heavy guards, many defenses. But they're not expecting the human ship," Tom said with a grin. "And they're definitely not expecting a human and a Ravager working together. We can use their own prejudices against them." The massive creature made his clicking laugh. "Humans, always surprising. Think differently. See new ways. That's why the Dominion wants to change us," Tom said seriously, "and why we have to stop them. Not just for humanity, but for every species they've hurt. Rex placed one giant claw very gently on Tom's shoulder. "We'll need plan. Good plan." "Oh, I've got a plan," Tom said, pulling up the facility schematics they'd found in the files. "It's crazy and dangerous, and probably impossible. But then again, everyone thought a human and a Ravager becoming friends was impossible too." As they began working on their plan to infiltrate the facility, both of them knew they were about to attempt something that would either change the galaxy forever or get them both killed. Somehow, those odds seemed just about right for a human and a Ravager working together. Tom's research vessel drifted toward the Dominion facility, looking every bit like a damaged ship that had strayed off course. Inside, Tom and Rex made their final preparations for the most dangerous mission of their lives. "Remember," Tom said as he checked his equipment one last time, "once they bring us in with their tractor beam, we have exactly 3 minutes before they realize my distress signal is fake." Rex's armor plates shifted in the dim emergency lighting they were using to fake ship damage. "We'll be ready. Guards expect. Weak human. Not expect. Friend of Ravager." The massive facility grew larger in their view screen. It was built into an asteroid, hidden from casual observation, with only a few external signs of its true nature. But according to their intelligence, inside were dozens of captured Ravagers, kept in stasis between genetic modification sessions. "Alert," the ship's computer announced. "Tractor beam detecting. They are bringing us in." Tom took a deep breath. "Showtime. Computer, initiate protocol shadow." The ship's systems began shutting down in a convincing display of power failure. Through the view screen, they watched as massive doors opened in the asteroid's surface, pulling them into a cavernous docking bay. The moment their ship touched down, alarms began blaring throughout the facility. A voice spoke in multiple languages. "Warning. Quarantine protocols in effect. Unknown vessel possibly contaminated. Security team to docking bay 3. Right on schedule," Tom grinned. He had programmed his ship to emit false readings of a dangerous but slow-acting radiation leak. It would make the Dominion troops cautious and slow, buying them precious time. Rex moved silently to his position near the airlock, an amazing feat for such a large creature. They had discovered that Ravagers could move almost soundlessly when they wanted to, another skill their people had possessed before being turned into weapons. The airlock cycle began as Dominion troops forced their way in. They were tall, thin beings in sealed environmental suits, carrying weapons that could tear through ship hull plating. But they moved hesitantly, worried about the supposed radiation. "Come out slowly," one of them called in Galactic Standard. "Your ship is contaminated. We are here to help." Tom stepped out with his hands raised, looking appropriately scared and confused. "Thank you. My engines malfunctioned and—" He didn't finish the sentence. Rex burst from his hiding place, moving faster than anything that size should be able to move. Before the guards could react, he had disarmed 2 of them without causing serious injury, proving again that he was in full control of his enhanced strength. Tom didn't waste the advantage, pulling out his modified stun weapon and taking down the remaining guards. "Computer, start Phase 2. Their ship's systems suddenly came back online, broadcasting a signal that interfered with the facility's internal communications. At the same time, Rex used the guards' own security codes, taken from their equipment, to access the facility's computer. "Found them." Rex clicked urgently. "Sub-level 3. 22 of my people. In stasis." They moved quickly through the facility's corridors, dealing with resistance when they had to. Rex's knowledge of Dominion protocols and Tom's human unpredictability made them a formidable team. Guards never knew whether to expect a frontal assault from a Ravager or a clever flanking maneuver from a human who didn't follow any standard combat doctrine. When they reached the stasis chamber, both of them stopped in shock. The room was massive, filled with pods similar to the one Tom had found Rex in. Inside each one was a Ravager, floating unconsciously. "These readings," Tom said, checking the nearby console, "they're not just in stasis. The Dominion is actively rewriting their genetic code, making them even more aggressive. Rex moved to the nearest pod, placing one claw gently on its surface. My podmate, my brother. Tom was already working on the release systems. We're getting them all out. Every single one. Computer, upload the proof of Dominion experiments to all pods' neural interfaces. When they wake up, they'll know the truth. As the stasis pods began their wake-up sequences, Rex turned to Tom. Once awake, they may be angry, dangerous. I know, Tom said, standing his ground. That's why you'll tell them your story. Show them there's another way. Show them what a human and a Ravager can accomplish together. The pods started opening one by one, releasing their occupants into a very different world than the one they had known. A world where ancient enemies could become allies and where the truth could finally break the chains of lies that had bound them for so long. 3 months after the raid on the Dominion facility, Tom stood before the Galactic Council. Beside him stood Rex, and behind them were 24 more Ravagers, all of them standing tall and proud, but peaceful. The council chamber was packed with representatives from hundreds of worlds, many of them trembling at the sight of so many Ravagers in one place. Members of the council, Tom began, his voice steady. What you're about to see will change everything you thought you knew about the galaxy. He activated a holographic display, showing the evidence they had gathered. Images of the original Ravager civilization appeared, peaceful scientists and explorers who studied the stars. Then came the brutal documentation of how the Dominion had changed them, twisted their nature, turned them into living weapons. But the Ravagers weren't their only victims, Tom continued, switching to new images. The Dominion has been doing this for thousands of years, to dozens of species, and they're not done. Humanity is on their list of future targets. A murmur ran through the crowd. Rex stepped forward, speaking clearly through the translator they had perfected over the past months. We were peaceful once. Can be peaceful again. Human friend showed us another way. The evidence was undeniable. Files upon files showed the Dominion's true nature, not conquerors who fought their own battles, but manipulators who turned species against each other. Reports showed how they had planted spies in the council itself, ensuring their activities remained hidden. As the presentation continued, more revelations came to light. Other modified species began to recognize their own histories in the data. The council chamber erupted in shocked discussions as ancient enemies realized they had been pawns in the Dominion's game. The Dominion's power comes from keeping us afraid of each other, Tom said over the noise, from making us see differences instead of similarities. But today, that changes. One of the council members stood up, looking shaken. But the Ravagers, they've destroyed whole worlds. Because we were change, Rex answered, made to be weapons. But look now. He gestured to his fellow Ravagers, who stood calmly despite the fear directed at them. We choose peace, choose understanding, like humans showed us we could. Tom smiled at his friend before addressing the council again. The Ravagers have already begun reversing the genetic modifications done to them. They're using their natural intelligence and strength to help instead of harm. And they're not alone. The holographic display showed new images, Ravagers working with other species to rebuild damaged worlds, using their power to protect instead of destroy. Among them were humans, bridging the gap between former enemies. We're not asking you to forget the past, Tom said. We're asking you to help build a different future. The Dominion is still out there, still looking for new species to manipulate. But together, we can stop them. Rex's voice carried across the chamber. Humans taught us strength not just in claws and armor. Strength in trust, in friendship, in choosing own path. The council chamber was silent for a long moment. Then, one by one, representatives began to stand. Species that had feared the Ravagers for generations now saw them in a new light. The truth had done what weapons never could. It had brought understanding. The council's leader spoke. We have much to discuss, much to verify. But if what you've shown us is true, then this day marks a new chapter in galactic history. Tom looked at Rex, remembering that day he found a damaged stasis pod floating in space. One decision, made from curiosity and compassion rather than fear, had changed everything. "It's already a new chapter," Tom said. "Every time someone chooses to look past appearances, to trust instead of fear, to understand instead of judge, that's another page in this new story we're writing together." Rex made his clicking laugh, the sound no longer frightening to those who heard it. "Human stories always have hope. That's another thing you can't modify out of a species," Tom grinned. "Hope, friendship, the desire to understand each other. Those aren't weaknesses to be removed. They're strengths to be shared." As the council began their deliberations, Tom knew this wasn't really an ending. It was a beginning. Not just for humans and ravagers, but for every species that had ever been told they could only be one thing, follow one path. Sometimes the greatest defiance of destiny was simply choosing to be something more than what others expected you to be.